morning and welcome to Money Wisdom, sponsored by Johnson Brunetti. I'm Natasha Lubchenko. We're teaching you smart ways to manage your money, and here with expert advice is Eric Hogarth, certified financial planner and Johnson Brunetti partner. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Nice to see you.
Great to see you as always. Today, let's talk about taxes and how they affect retirement. Lots of variation here. Eric, let's start with the types of accounts taxed as ordinary income and what we need to know.
So these are accounts, for the most part, you've never paid taxes on. So like a 401k is the big one that during working years, you're saving money into it. You're getting a tax deduction. So that brings your taxable income lower, which is good. But then when you take money out, you have to pay taxes on all of it. So you really want to avoid taking big withdrawals all at once because those are big taxes all at once. Best to take those out over time.
Okay. And now what about accounts taxed as dividend income? What should we know here?
So dividends can be taxed differently. And by differently, I mean less. So this sheds some light on, okay, well, not just how much money have you saved, but what's the tax liability of it? Do I buy that here? Do I buy that there? So the dividends tax rates, there's three of them for qualified dividends, 0%, 15, and 20% versus, federal tax brackets, of which there are 7 that go all the way up to almost 40%. So dividend tax is lower.
And let's just tell people what's included here. So stocks, mutual funds, and we should also know that taxation depends on income level.
Yep. So, that's another consideration is, we spend all day, every day talking to people who have either, just retired or are thinking about it. And you have a lot of flexibility if you're going to retire, before 72, because during your working years, for the most part, you're paying taxes and a lot of it. On everything you're making. Whereas when you start to look at where do I draw money from, you want steady. You don't want to pay a ton of taxes one year and no taxes the next year because that's, inefficient. So you want to look at what you're doing this year, but also, further down the road of where's my money going to come from in the future to make sure you keep as much of what you've saved as possible.
Right. And now the final category here, Eric, is accounts taxed as capital gains.
Yeah. So another thing when we talk about capital gains or we talk about dividends is that we're making recommendations based on current laws, current regulations. These things could change. So capital gains tax rates, some people, there isn't any. You don't pay any taxes. Some people it's 15%, some people it's 20%. And this gets into, let's say you own a stock. Well, if you own that stock less than a year and you sell it, you pay ordinary income tax on it. You own it longer than a year, you pay long-term capital gains. And at the risk of making this more confusing, none of that applies if it's in a retirement account since it's ordinary income. So you got to take a look at this stuff. And another consideration if you're getting older is if you have a lot of gains on a stock and you die, and you leave that money, let's say to your kids, they don't pay any taxes on it. So that's part of the conversation as well if you have some money that you might never spend. Sure.
A lot to consider here. You mentioned the stocks, and there's also real estate property sales in this category as well.
Well, and that's a big deal too. If you're someone, again, you're getting up there in years and you're thinking, well, maybe we should shift the ownership of the house. That's a common conversation is, what if I'm 70, I get sick, I've got to pay for a nursing home. What's going to happen with my house? Well, maybe you put that house in one of your kids' names, but now you run the risk of kind of messing around with the taxes. So that's again why, you've got to coordinate with a tax planner, financial planner, usually an attorney. Because if you sell real estate the right way, you shouldn't pay taxes on that either. And there's a difference between your primary residence and investment real estate. So as usual, it depends, but it's worth taking a close look at because it can make a huge difference.
Sure. So if we want to learn more about this, what special offer do you have for us today?
Our special offer is a book, and it's called Take Charge of Your Taxes. People do not spend enough time looking at this stuff. We're so busy trying to save money and get that pot of money bigger. Let's spend some time about keeping it big, but also keeping as much as possible when you take it out because you have a lot of options, particularly if you're retired. So you can get this book. It's totally free at www.moneywisdomtv.com. And again, it's called Take Charge of Your Taxes. And we all need to think about taxes. So again, that's moneywisdomtv.com, and we'll get it to you and encourage you to read it.
All right, great offer as always. Thank you, Eric Hogarth from Johnson Brunetti. And again, if you would like to learn more and to receive this offer, go to moneywisdomtv.com. For CT Style, I'm Natasha Lubchenko. See you next time.